Okay guys, we're going to do a little bit more factoring, so let's get started. So number one, factor completely. We're going to do the same thing we've done so far, which is first we're going to find the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor with these numbers is 6. We can factor out a 6 out of all of these numbers. So greatest common factor is a 6. And then we can do A, C, and B. If you don't remember, this is A, this is C, and this is B. So A times C, or actually, first, our greatest common factor is 6. So we have to take a 6 out of all of these numbers. I was way too ahead of myself. 18 divided by 6 is going to be 3. We can rewrite it here, the 6, because that's what we factored out. It's going to be 3x squared minus 13x minus 10. Now we can do AC and B. A times C is negative 30, and B is negative 13. And we have to find two numbers that can multiply to negative 30 and add up to be negative 13. In this case, our numbers are 2 and negative 15. Now we can do x plus blank over blank. We can put the 6 out front. X plus blank over blank. And what goes in our blanks on the top is going to be the numbers that we found. So 2 and negative 15. Be mindful of that negative sign. And on the bottom, we are going to put A, which is 3. This can be reduced. This cannot. Let's go with the left side first. When our fraction cannot be reduced, the denominator gets moved to the other side, so it's going to be 3x plus 2. And negative 15 divided by 3 is going to be negative 5. The sign is changed because it's a negative and a positive, which is going to give us a negative. And this is our answer. Oops. For number 2, we're going to be factoring once again. And we have to find our greatest common factor within all of these numbers. Our greatest common factor here in this case is going to be 3. So greatest common factor is 3. Now we can factor out of all of these numbers. 3 out front. 36 divided by 3 is 12. So 12x squared plus 21 divided by 3 is 7. xy plus 3 divided by 3 is 1, so just y squared. Now we are going to do A, C, and B. A times C, or 12 times 1, is going to be 12, and then our B is 7. And we have to find two numbers that can multiply to 12 and add up to 7. In this case, our numbers are 4 and 3. Now we can do our 3 out front, our greatest common factor. We can do x plus blank over blank y, because we have x and y. X plus blank over blank y. At the top, we put the numbers that we found, 4 and 3 in this case. And then we put our a at the bottom, which is 12. These can be simplified but not entirely reduced. 4 over 12 can be simplified to be 1/3 y. X plus 3 over 12 can be simplified to be 1/4 y. We don't like denominators in these, so all of our denominators get moved to the other side. So our final answer is going to be 3x plus y, because there is a 1, but since there's a variable, we don't actually have to write the number 1. Now we do 4x plus y. And that is our answer for this problem. Let's go over to number 3. For number 3, we have to find the greatest common factor. In this case, we don't have a number that can go into all of these, but we can use y squared because we can factor out a y squared in all of these numbers. So let's do that. Put y squared out front because that is the number that we're factoring out, and then we can do 15x squared because this y squared gets completely factored out, plus 4x y squared, once again completely factored out, minus 4 because the y squared is completely factored out. Now we can do a c and b. A times c is going to give us negative 60 because it's 15 times a negative 4. And then our b is just a 4, and we have to find two numbers that can multiply to be negative 60 and can add up to be 4. Positive 4. And our numbers are 10 and negative 6 because 10 minus 6 is 4. And 10 times negative 6 is negative 60. Now we put our greatest common factor up front. And we can do x plus blank over blank, x plus blank over blank. Once again, the numbers on top are going to be the numbers that we found, in this case 10 and negative 6. And the number on the bottom is going to be our a, which in this case is 15. We do our y squared. X plus 10 cannot be divided into 15, but 10 over 15 can be simplified. And that's going to be simplified to 2 over 3, 2/3. Because 10 divided by 2 is 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2, and 15 divided by 5 is 3. On the other side, we cannot simplify, but we can reduce to be negative 6 divided by 3 is going to be negative 2, and 15 divided by 3 is going to be 5. Now we don't like denominators in here, so they're all going to go to the other side. So y squared, our greatest common factor, 3x plus 2. And 5x minus 2, remember the negative sign. Negative positive is going to be a negative. Now for number 4, we're still factoring. And we need to find the greatest common factor. What is the greatest common factor that we can take out of all these numbers? What do they all have in common? In this case, it's the number 2. Oops. So now let's factor out 2 from all of these. So 2 on the outside, and then 2 divided by 2 is 1, so x squared, minus 24 divided by 2 is going to be 12x, and 72 divided by 2 is going to be 36. Now once again we can do a, c, and b. A times c is going to be positive 36. There's a 1 in front of here. And our b is going to be negative 12. We have to find two numbers that can multiply to be 36, positive 36, and can add up to be negative 12. In this case is negative 6 and negative 6. And as we've been doing, 2, which is a greatest common factor, out in front, and then x plus blank over blank, x plus blank over blank, numbers on top, the ones that we found. You know this, you know we've been practicing this, and then our a is going to be the one on the bottom, and our a in this case is just 1. There is a 1 in front of that variable. Once again, if it's in front of a variable, we don't write the 1. So our final answer is going to be 2, and then parentheses x minus 6, because be mindful of this minus sign. And x minus 6 once again. You can also write this as 2 parentheses x minus 6 squared. Either is acceptable, and these Well, this is our answer. So for number 9, factor the binomial completely if it is prime, say so. In this case, you can notice that these are perfect squares because the square root of 9 is 3 and the square root of 25 is 5. So we can just do 3x plus 5. Actually, let's do it another way. Let's keep doing a, c, and b to be constant. And then for the next one, we can change it up a little bit. So let's just do a, c, and b as we've been doing. So this is going to be a and c. A and c. We have no b in this case. So a and c, a times c is going to be I need a calculator. 25 times 9, 225, negative 225. And then our b is 0. And we need to find something, a number, that can multiply to 225 and will add up negative 225 and adds up to 0. Our number is going to be, well, our numbers are going to be 15, negative 15, and positive 15. Let's write it here. Negative 15, positive 15. And now we couldn't factor anything out, so we're just going to do x plus blank over blank. X plus blank over blank. On top, numbers that we found. On the bottom, it's going to be our a, and our a value is 9. These 15 cannot go into 9, but it can be simplified by dividing both numbers by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Same thing goes for the other side. And now we are going to do bringing the denominator to the other side because we don't like denominators. 3x minus 5, 3x plus 5. That's the answer. Number 6. Now these are perfect squares. Square root of 25 is going to be 5. Square root of 8 of 64 is going to be 8. Better said. So it's going to be a plus b, or a and then a minus b, because it's a perfect square. In this case, it's going to be 5k plus 8m and 5k minus 8m, and that simple is our answer. Now we're going to do number 7. Factor out completely, just as we've always done, a, c, and b. Can we take anything out of this? We cannot factor anything out just because of the 1. So ac is 9, b is going to be negative 6. What can multiply to be 9, positive 9, and add up to be negative 6? That's going to be negative 3 and negative 3. X plus blank over blank. X plus blank over blank. Numbers that we found up top are a on the bottom. This can be further simplified. And we don't like denominators, so we bring it to the other side. It's going to be a minus. Be a minus. And you can also write this as 3x minus 1 squared. And that is our answer. That's all for today. And we're going to be covering the rest of chapter 5 and some of chapter 6 next time.